The Justice Department issued new guidelines today on prosecuting people who distribute or use medical marijuana. U.S. attorneys nationwide are being told not to pursue those cases if the drug is being used in compliance with state laws. 14 states allow its use for medicinal purposes, nowhere more than in California. And Brian Rooney is in Los Angeles this evening. Brian, good evening.
Charlie, the green cross on the window there signifies that this is a medical marijuana dispensary, which is illegal under federal law. But basically what the Attorney General said today is that they are going to leave it to states, like California, to decide what's legal or who to prosecute under their own laws. Along the Venice boardwalk, signs say the doctor is in and ready to recommend you for medical marijuana. Few questions asked. The green cross is everywhere in Los Angeles. Now there are about 1,000 medical marijuana dispensaries, 10 times the number of Starbucks coffee shops. Here's one street that has 5 within a couple of blocks. You don't have to have cancer. Doctors will prescribe marijuana for just about anything. Some doctors admit many patients are just looking for a high.
I think it's similar to the patients that have probably lied to me over many years for pain, for Vicodin, for Xanax, for Klonopin, for whatever. I mean, I'm trading drugs is the way I look at it.
Upset over the Attorney General's announcement, Texas Congressman Lamar Smith said today, this weakens the war on drugs. Quote, federal prosecutors have a responsibility to prosecute all medical marijuana dispensaries. Today's announcement said dispensaries will be left alone if they follow state law. Under California law, medical marijuana is supposed to be sold through a non-profit cooperative, but the number of dispensaries clearly indicates that a lot of people are in it for huge money. Los Angeles authorities say they're going to start going after some of those dispensaries.
For the last 2 years, the state of California in this regard has basically been the wild, wild west.
But the Attorney General basically said today that the feds will stick to chasing big traffickers and let the states figure out the medical marijuana question.
If I was a neighbor and I saw 15 shops, providers on my block, I'd be really concerned. And that's why I think it needs to go into a pharmacy-like or pharmacy type of setting for dispensing, and that's what our model is.
And Charlie, just today a judge in Los Angeles threw out the city's ban on opening more dispensaries. So in the near term, we're likely to have more of them. But in the big picture, where all of this is probably leading is towards some more regulated legality of marijuana, just like alcohol and cigarettes.
In 14 states across the country, it's legal to possess and use marijuana for medical purposes. Now the federal government is making a major change in the way it treats the buyers and sellers of medical marijuana. Let's bring in our Homeland Security correspondent, Jean Meserve. She's got the details. Pretty significant change.
Well, it depends how you look at it. The Justice Department is advising U.S. attorneys not to prosecute patients and caregivers who are following state medical marijuana laws. But will it make a difference? That depends on who you talk to. At North Hollywood Compassionate Caregivers, a marijuana dispensary, relief that the federal government will no longer target legitimate users of medical marijuana.
Puts less stress on us. We don't have to worry about, dealing with all that. I've gotten pulled over before for it.
Attorney General Eric Holder says it will no longer be a priority to use federal resources to prosecute patients with serious illnesses or their caregivers who are complying with state laws.
This is a watershed moment and a major step forward in terms of federal medical marijuana policy.
But opponents of medical marijuana found something to cheer too. A memo to federal prosecutors outlining the new guidelines says prosecution of commercial enterprises that unlawfully market and sell marijuana for profit continues to be an enforcement priority.
We see these guidelines as giving clarity, allowing law enforcement to move forward and enforce our federal laws and shut down these storefront operations that are nothing more than a free ticket for drug trafficking.
The Bush administration prosecuted marijuana dispensaries and their customers when a federal drug law was violated. The new memo leaves open that possibility, but suggests prosecutors defer to state laws in the 14 states which permit medical marijuana.
People are still just as subject to prosecution, and I don't think that part of the message is going to get out. I think that it's going to make an already confused situation more chaotic.
The Justice Department took pains today to underline that drug enforcement is still a core priority, noting that marijuana distribution in the United States remains the single largest source of revenue for the Mexican drug cartels. Wolf?
Gene Meserve, thanks very much for that. The government suggests you spend some money in order to save more money by fixing up your home. It's part of a program called Recovery Through Renter.